Philip Oldenburg is a professor of political science at Columbia University, focusing on India and Pakistan. Professor, we spoke a couple months ago, and obviously a lot has happened since then. But one thing you said back in October when talking about Benazir Bhutto, who was just then coming back to the country for the first time in years, you described her as highly problematic. So I'm curious if you can develop that idea, because she's been kind of lionized in her death in the last week plus.
Well, she was problematic in terms of her history of corruption charges and of basically the way she saw the party, the PPP, her party, as her family possession. I don't remember what I actually thought in October at the time, but those certainly were things that people did not like about her. And actually, in the aftermath of her assassination, those issues have not gone away. Her widower, Mr. Zardari, has taken over the party, and he was known as Mr. 10%, and I think no one doubts that he made a lot of money. And the fact that she willed the party as if it were a piece of jewelry to her family, which saved a factional dispute about who would lead it, suggests that it was, that her ideas about what kind of a leader she was were a bit strange.
More broadly speaking, what, if anything, has changed there in the week plus since her death?
It's certainly put an end to any talk of an alliance between Musharraf and the PPP. Because after all, she did come in the expectation of working with Musharraf as an alliance partner, really, to run the government. And that's gone. There's no way that that's going to happen. That leaves her, or it leaves, the party, with the option of working some arrangement out with Nawaz Sharif. And that's possible for those two major forces to form an alliance, because they know also that this will, that it can win, it would win.
I think part of what I hear you saying as well, though, is that Musharraf now is on more of an island.
He is very much more of an island. And that's what people seeing that have said, well, since he's in such an island, and since that islandness is intimately associated with him personally, that might be an incentive for the military to throw him overboard. I don't think that's going to happen, but of course no one knows, I think, what the internal dimensions are of his support within the army.
How concerned are you that the February election will be somehow rigged?
Oh, I think that's a very serious concern. It's a very serious concern because virtually every Pakistan election except for 1970 has been rigged. 1988 was perhaps a little bit fairer than others, but it's been the standard. I mean, there's a manual for rigging which was published before Bhutto's assassination in the Friday Times. Tells you exactly how to do it. What they do is, it's a modern sort of system. They let everybody vote, and in those constituencies that are close, they add ballots between the ballot box and the counting station. And that's all under wraps, and no monitors can see that. And it doesn't look, it's not an egregious theft. It's just, done that way. Now, that's the actual polling day rigging that goes on, which is significant. But there's also pre-polling rigging, which is in the sense that the playing field is not level. You can't criticize the president on TV anymore. You can't have political satire on TV. You can't really have demonstrations or campaign meetings of any size without serious risk of people getting killed.
Let's play out a couple hypotheticals quickly of after the election. Let's say Musharraf wins. Maybe it's been fixed, maybe it hasn't. There's definitely going to be folks that think it has, whether it has or hasn't.
Right.
Then what happens? Does he have the ability to stay in office?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Musharraf, first of all, it's not Musharraf winning in the sense that we're talking about, right? It's his party, which is the PMLQ, that would win, because it's a parliamentary system.
Sure, but is that an important distinction, or
Absolutely
is it
an important distinction.
Okay, explain why.
Well, because he is still a president. I mean, he's got certain very specified powers. The running of the country is in the hands of the parliament and the prime minister. And if a prime minister comes in with a very strong mandate from people to do certain things, for example, restoring the judges to the Supreme Court, particularly if they get a 2/3 majority, he will be pushed into a corner because a 2/3 majority would ultimately threaten him. I think he would, in collaboration with the military, basically, knock over the table and say, we're not playing this game anymore. We're going back to martial law in effect because this is unacceptable. And
Can he do that? Where does the support come to do that?
The army.
But wouldn't the entire Western world at that point say enough?
The Western world can say what it likes. It can't do anything. The Western world is, first of all, not going to go in and topple Pakistan. It's not a small country. It's not Grenada. It's not, but
so at the end of the day,
the other point is that it's a very important point, which is people have not, I think, paid enough attention to, which is that Pakistan has leverage over the U.S. in particular, and that leverage is it's a critical logistic piece of the Afghanistan struggle. That is to say, almost all the big equipment and so forth goes through Pakistan. The U.S. controls 2 or 3 air bases. Pakistan basically said, you have these air bases. They're down in Baluchistan for transshipment of troops and all the rest of it. If Pakistan says to the U.S., go take a hike out of the air bases, forget about transshipping these things, the possibilities of supplying Afghanistan, you would have to do it then through Uzbekistan and so on, which is not an easy matter. So that I think that it's not a question of the alliance with Musharraf is not simply about fighting al-Qaeda in the Afghan-Pakistan border. It's about Pakistan's role as a critical piece in the Afghanistan struggle because of the logistics. And that will not go away.